Good afternoon, everybody. If we can have everyone's attention, please. Good afternoon. I want to welcome everybody to the November board meeting. The board meeting of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and its component units is now called to order. Today's in-person meeting is also being held virtually via video conference with the proceedings live streamed from the Port Authority website. Before we start, if we I want to just have a moment of silence, and if we could stand for recognizing Veterans Day and those who have passed away serving our country. Thank you. On November 5th, the Audit and Finance Committee met in executive session. The Commissioners also met in executive session earlier today to discuss matters related to the security or public safety, matters related to the purchase, sale, or lease of real property where disclosure would affect the value thereof or the public interest, and matters involving ongoing negotiations or reviews of contracts or proposals. For our first order of business, extraordinary order of business, we're going to introduce our capital plan. But before we do that, we're going to actually take a look back 10 years ago. It's crazy to think that from 2017 to 2025, the capital plan that was formulated back in 16, put in play in 17. And I think it's important for the public and the Port Authority itself, the commissioners, to understand what has happened in the past, and it's kind of set a template for the future. And obviously with this next capital plan discussed today and adopted in December, it's going to chart a course for the Port Authority for the next few decades. The investments made by the Port Authority, the capital in the previous capital plan and those in the current proposed one will only serve to strengthen this region's infrastructure and allow a customer experience and advanced projects that will serve for generations to come. Better than me saying it, I think words could do a better justice to it. We have a video teed up that's going to speak to both the capital that we are finishing up on and the projected capital. If we can roll the videotape, please. That's a cue to...
At the Port Authority, we don't just talk about what we're going to do. We deliver it. Here's what a decade of delivering big projects looks like now and for the future. Now, you may have heard some less than flattering things about our old facilities. But that was then. This is now. Let's take a quick tour of what we're building. First stop, the skies. Newark Terminal A, done. And people can't stop raving about it. From the spacious, light-filled areas to the family-friendly amenities to the local restaurants and shops, it's an appealing, world-class facility with a distinctly New Jersey style. But what's next? How about improved Northeast Corridor station access and a brand new air train? We're on it. At the heart of this transformation is a magnificent new Terminal B anchoring a fully reimagined airport. Across the river at JFK, we're reclaiming the title of Premier International Hub with a complete transformation in a distinctly New York style. At $19 billion and more than 3/4 privately financed, it's the largest public-private partnership in the country. New terminals and roadways begin opening in 2026, and we're setting the stage for a major overhaul of AirTrain JFK as well. And let's not forget about a whole new LaGuardia. We turned a punchline into the best airport in America, finished on time and on budget. Now getting there will be even easier. With dedicated lanes and bus sensors that turn red lights green, linking free buses to the subway and LIRR faster than ever. 3 airports, 3 historic transformations. It's about time. Now we'll come back down to earth to roads, bridges, and terminals that move millions every day. The Midtown Bus Terminal is being fully replaced with a bright, airy facility that travelers will appreciate rather than endure. Designed around people, not just buses, the best-in-class hub will replace the outdated 75-year-old station with a 21st century gateway for customers, keeping idling buses off neighborhood streets. It's more than a new terminal, it's a whole new era. We're also upgrading and repairing major bridges and tunnels to keep them safe and reliable for generations to come, including a comprehensive rebuild of the George Washington Bridge. Next up, we're going from roadways to railways. PATH's historic investment in new tracks, state-of-the-art signals, and more has been laying the groundwork for better service, and the payoff is here. Starting in 2026, PATH will run more trains, especially during rush hours and on nights and weekends. All this means more reliable trips, more frequent trains, and a much better experience. And finally, to the harbor, where the region's economy meets the world. We're strengthening the East Coast's largest port, restoring wharfs and berths, streamlining truck routes, and keeping the global supply chain moving through our shores. Across facilities, we're investing in sustainability and resilience for a changing world. As the steward of the World Trade Center campus, we never forget what's at stake. So as we build, we're making a record investment in security to keep our facilities and millions of passengers safe every single day. So how do we fund these major investments? We're self-financed. We receive no taxpayer money from New York and New Jersey. Every dollar comes from our own revenues and business partners. Over the past decade, we've shown that we can take on ambitious, hard projects and get them done. Now, we're advancing a critically needed capital plan to make historic investments in the coming decades of regional growth, restoring what's aging, strengthening what's essential, and building what's needed. This isn't about promises. It's about pride in building better for our region, and proof that we're delivering the progress that New York and New Jersey deserve. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey is building infrastructure that works for you.
To support its delivery. The presentation will include the process by which the Port Authority will solicit public comments on the proposal, including public hearings in both states. Before we hear from the presenters, we're going to hear from our executive director, who's going to lay the framework and kind of lay out the presentation and talk about the extraordinary work that went into this, and just talk about what's the next step after we introduce the Capitol. Rick?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I believe that the new capital plan that is being proposed, and which we are asking the board to approve its posting, starting a public comment period, is one of the most momentous votes and decisions that face the board. We are recommending for posting a 10-year capital plan over the period 2026 to 2035. This is a golden era in the Port Authority's history. We are setting standards high and setting ambition high, aiming at the moon, so to speak, world-class and best-in-class, then backing up ambitions and aspiration with actually grasping the brass ring and performing at these lofty standards and getting things done. I believe there's nothing that underlines and symbolizes this golden era more than our writing down and setting forth in our 10-year capital plan what we intend to embrace, our vision, and specifying our funding plan. And that is what we are asking you to post today. But to set forth our brick and mortar vision and to plan for the next 10 years requires setting this in context within the framework of each of our operating divisions, where we have gotten to over the past 10 years, what projects we have finished, what projects we have started and will now continue and which we commit to complete, and what projects we will start new and where we will get to over the next 10 years. In summary, the proposed $45 billion 2026 to 2035 capital plan would continue the agency's strong momentum and finish what was started in the 2017 to 2026 plan and more. We are committed to delivering next generation, reliable, resilient infrastructure now and in the future to keep the region moving as it continues to grow and thrive. Sustained investment in our critical assets is essential to ensure that the region's infrastructure keeps pace with growth and resilience needs. Financially, the Port Authority is self-sustaining. As you will hear multiple times, we receive no funding from either state, no taxpayer funding from either state. We raise the funds needed to operate, construct, and improve our facilities from our own operations. 2/3 of the Port Authority's revenues are generated from non-toll, non-fare sources. It is important to remember that the Port Authority has been navigating one of the most difficult operating environments in its history. COVID erased $3 billion in revenue over a 24-month period, forcing capital spending delays, cost-cutting measures, and we are still recovering from those times. Inflation, supply chain shocks, and tariffs drove up the cost of steel, concrete, and electrical components. Rising interest rates increased borrowing costs. Lack of federal COVID relief or PATH, combined with severe reductions in ridership, further increased PATH's financial reductions. Despite these headwinds, the agency continued to move forward with the vast majority of our ambitious agenda that we laid out in the 2017 to 2025 capital plan period. I would now like to turn the podium over to Derek Utter, our Chief Planning Officer, to continue the story of not only what has happened in the 2017 to 2025 period, but what are the key elements of our new proposed capital plan. Derek?
Great, thank you, Rick. And I'll be the leadoff hitter here because I'm going to start to introduce at a high level some of our accomplishments in the last decade and touch on the framing of the next capital plan. And then I'm going to ask each of the line department directors in most cases to come up and talk about each of their areas. So to start off with, over the past decade, we have delivered on an unprecedented wave of renewal. I think the video that you just saw captured a lot of it. But if you look at the projects that we have completed over the last decade, there's a lineup that is quite unbelievable in terms of our history. So we talked about the transformation of LaGuardia Airport from worst to first, a wholesale rebuild. Terminal A at Newark was constructed and has also been an award-winning 5-star terminal. Those are 2 of the 3 in the country that have been awarded that designation. At the tunnels, bridges, and terminals, we secured all the federal and local approvals and broke ground on the Midtown Bus Terminal, $11 billion project. We also built a new Goethals Bridge. The seaports, we raised the Bayonne Bridge. We also entered into terminal operator agreements that secured significant amount of private investment in the seaport. The PATH system, we installed a $1 billion state-of-the-art signal system. We expanded the rail cart fleet by 20%. And we increased capacity and implemented 9-car service. And at World Trade Center, if you just look outside the windows, you'll see the new Performing Arts Center, 3 World Trade Center, the St. Nicholas Greek and Orthodox Church, all constructed in the last 10 years. There are a handful of projects that were funded in our capital plan that are currently underway, which will continue into our next capital plan. In the case of the airports, the $19 billion revitalization and transformation of JFK Airport, which the video touched on briefly, new terminals opening in 2026. We broke ground on the $3.5 billion Newark AirTrain this year. We also broke ground on the NEC access station at Newark. At tunnels, bridges, and terminals, you'll see that we have launched critical early works for the Midtown Bus Terminals. Not only did we get permitting done, we've actually started construction. We advanced $2 billion investment in the George Washington Bridge. And I won't go through all of these because you're going to hear a lot more of this detail as we go through each line department and get the context of what the next capital plan will have. So if we look at the next decade of investment, what you're going to hear is an investment of $45 billion in the next 10 years, significantly more than our last capital plan. You'll see that one constant thread is we're maintaining world-class standard of our facilities and finishing projects to continue to aggressively advance our agency's agenda around transforming our facilities. And importantly, as a major economic engine of growth in the region, our proposed plan will create over 50,000 jobs, including 33,000 union construction jobs. So I'm going to stop here and hand it over. We'll start with aviation, and we'll go through each of our departments. So Sarah McKeon.
Thank you, Derek, and good afternoon, Commissioners. Before I get into aviation's portion of the proposed capital plan, it is very important, I think, to recall where the Port Authority airports stood in the court of public opinion really not too long ago. Simply put, our airports left a lot to be desired, and the press made sure to make us aware of where we stood in their opinion. That said, I'm very proud to say that the $30 billion of total investment, which represents a combination of both Port Authority capital and private venture money, made a huge transformation in how we are perceived, and now we are known for being best-in-class airports, worthy of the region that we represent. And satisfaction with our airports goes way beyond the headlines. LaGuardia and Newark, as the first two airports to start their total transformations, continue to be recognized by world-renowned organizations, including LaGuardia being named the UNESCO Pre-Versailles Best New Airport in the World, and Newark Terminal A being named by Skytrax the best new terminal in the world at the time that they opened. In addition, both airports have achieved the 5-star coveted Skytrax rating that represent one of or two of only 3 airport terminals across the United States that have achieved that 5-star rating. In addition, LaGuardia was just named for the 2nd year in a row as Forbes Travel Guide. They received the Forbes Travel Guide Award for being the best airport in America. These awards and many others are a testament to the total transformation that has been brought to our system of airports under the existing capital plan. Because that is really what this existing plan allowed us to achieve, this total paradigm shift to being a world-class system of airports. Again, our unprecedented $30 billion public and private investment has yielded these tremendous results. And our focus on new world-class standards helped us continue to double down on that. And these include our intensive focus on customer experience, designing inspiring civic architecture, ensuring that public art is incorporated into our designs, having local concessions, and driving a true sense of place in each of our terminals, and focusing on the state-of-the-art functionality and investing in cutting-edge technology. All of these combined have made sure that we turned our airports into true destinations unto themselves. And with the new proposed capital plan, we intend to continue this momentum. Starting at JFK, who is well underway to their total transformation. As Derek talked about, under the existing capital plan, we launched the JFK Vision Plan, which is a roadmap we are using to help transform JFK into a world-class global gateway. We have made major investments in Terminals 4 and 8, including the installation of new gates and a total transformation of the concessions programs at those facilities to reflect a true sense of place. We are well underway in development of 2 brand new world-class terminals, and we started the complete overhaul of the landside roadway network. And our proposed plan represents a continuation of that big ambition for Kennedy. With approval of the proposed capital plan, JFK's transformation will not stop at terminal and roadway development. The proposed capital plan also includes, it will include the completion of both Terminals 1 and Terminal 6, brand new world-class terminals, and a complete overhaul of a simplified roadway network, making access to JFK easier than ever before. Further, with approval of this plan, JFK's transformation will not stop at the terminals. It will include major investments in JFK's AirTrain facility and system, which would provide a brand-new, state-of-the-art AirTrain facility that it doubles capacity to meet demand and provide a world-class experience for AirTrain passengers. In addition, we will also be adding a new world-class restaurant to support the JFK taxi drivers, who are a critical lifeblood and support provision in delivering that world-class customer service for our passengers at JFK. Here is a picture of the progress that we've made on JFK Terminal 6 under the existing plan. And we have ambitions to complete this brand new terminal with the approval of the plan. We will deliver a light-filled, technology-enabled, best-in-class international terminal that will be on par or better than the award-winning LaGuardia's Terminals B and C and Newark Terminal A. The first gates for this terminal should be opened in 2026. And again, a picture of the progress we've already made at JFK Terminal 1, also well on its way to completion. Our ambition is to complete the final phases of construction under this new capital plan and open this world-class global gateway that will welcome passengers from around the world, delivering the absolute best in customer service with soaring ceilings, stunning views, and best-in-class customer amenities. Terminal 1 will be ranked among the top airport terminal facilities around the globe. This record-breaking facility will open in 2026. Simply put, the proposed capital plan that would fund the promise to deliver a global, best-in-class JFK, an international airport that is worthy of the region that we serve. At Newark Liberty International Airport, we aspire to continue building a world-class airport that is ready to serve passengers for decades to come. And that effort has already started. Under the current capital plan, Newark saw tremendous transformation, including the opening of the stunning, award-winning Terminal A, the publishing of Newark's vision plan, laying out a roadmap for how we will complete Newark's total transformation. We designed and started construction of a completely new, state-of-the-art AirTrain system, and we started construction of the NEC Station Access Project, which will provide a crucial connection from the community surrounding the airport to the airport. Newark Terminal A, that's pictured here, is the very cornerstone of Newark's transformation. We are proud of what Terminal A represents and all of the awards that it has won, including being named the best new airport terminal in the world by Skytrax when it opened, winning the UNESCO Prix Versailles Award for exterior design, being one of only 3 airport facilities in North America to receive a 5-star Skytrax rating, and being certified by the U.S. Green Building Council as a LEED Gold certified facility. This terminal is bright, filled with public art, and embodies a real New Jersey sense of place. In other words, it embodies everything that we strive to do for our entire airport system. And our proposed capital plan for Newark is intended to carry on that extraordinary success of Terminal A. With this proposed plan, we seek approval to further invest in our terminals. Specifically, we intend to develop a brand new, world-class Terminal B, an international facility designed to our new world-class standards. We intend to expand award-winning Terminal A to meet the demand that will be coming to Newark and continues to grow. And we intend to update and expand Terminal C to ensure that it continues to serve passengers at the highest level. The proposed capital plan also includes intention for us to invest in non-terminal infrastructure. Specifically, we look to complete the construction that is already underway on the brand new state-of-the-art AirTrain, which is scheduled to open in 2030. We look to complete construction of the NEC Station Access Project, again to provide residents of Newark and Elizabeth a direct connection to the airport. We intend to also make airfield improvements that will increase throughput and reduce delays. And we will design and construct a totally new, simplified roadway network to help ease access to and from Newark Liberty. This picture is a rendering of what the new Terminal B could look like with approval of the new plan. It shows a highly connected international terminal built to meet world-class standards. The terminal will be capable of accommodating larger aircraft, and will be developed with technology that will allow for seamless transition of passengers throughout their journey. Our ambition with this proposed capital plan is to deliver a fully transformed Newark Liberty International Airport designed to meet the needs of modern air travelers with flexibility to accommodate changes in technology and air travel that are to come. If approved, this plan will ensure that investments are made to put Newark Liberty on the world stage as a global leader in international travel facilities. On to LaGuardia, which represents truly the best of what we are capable of in delivering as an airport system. Investments made in our current capital plan led to LaGuardia Airport for the second year in a row being named the winner of the 2025 Forbes Travel Guide Best Airport in America. And this comes as no surprise. Terminal B, which you see pictured here, was the first Port Authority terminal to be redeveloped, and it continues to set the bar high. It is an iconic, world-class terminal that is one of only 3 North American airport terminals to be rated 5 stars by Skytrax. And Terminal C, pictured here, the completely new best-in-class terminal that exemplifies what it means to deliver world-class customer service. Terminal C is filled with stunning passenger amenities that offer surprise and delight around every corner, and technology that makes a passenger's journey essentially seamless. That said, at LaGuardia, we do not rest on our laurels, and our proposed capital plan for LaGuardia has big ambitions. With the proposed plan, we seek approval to replace Terminal A, developing a world-class terminal that preserves the iconic history of the Marine Air Terminal Rotunda. We also seek to complete critical improvements to the Q70 bus service, ensuring fast, free, and frequent bus service is available for connecting passengers to public transport options. We also seek to design and construct an innovative and appealing pedestrian connection between Terminals B and C to maximize flexibility for passengers at the airport. Finally, to ensure we continue to support the critical driver community who literally drive a big part of our world-class customer experience, we also seek to deliver a new taxi driver amenity building in LaGuardia Terminal B. Just as important as our infrastructure goals, we have placed a high priority on ensuring that passengers have access to safe and legitimate modes of travel while on our airports, and that hard-working drivers of taxis and for-hire vehicles are able to access our passenger base without interference from illegal solicitors. That is why, with approval of the proposed capital plan, we will embark on a mission to dramatically decrease the activity of predators who harass passengers by offering illegal rides and who steal business from hardworking drivers at our airports. Known as Operation Legal Ride, we will leverage best-in-class technology to drive meaningful enforcement and deter illegal solicitation of our passengers. We are committed to working directly with the Taxi and Limousine Commission, as well as with the driver community, to ensure effectiveness of this major effort. As Derek stated earlier, the majority of Port Authority funding comes from third-party private investments, cost recoveries, and revenues driven by our lines of business. That said, to further support the ambitious goals that we have set out in the proposed 2026 to 2035 capital plan, a change in our airport access fees for app-based for-hire vehicles and taxis is proposed. Specifically, pickup and drop-off fees for for-hire vehicles and taxis will be aligned with our peer airports. In summary, the accomplishments that we achieved in the last decade to dramatically transform our airports cannot be understated. The proposed new capital plan will ensure that we continue to transform so that we continue to be recognized as a global leader in airport development. By 2035, over $50 billion in total of public and private dollars will have been invested in our airports, helping us to achieve a complete paradigm shift, moving our airports from worst to first. Now I will turn it over to Jim Heitman, who will take you through the capital plan for tunnels, bridges, and terminals.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm excited to be here to talk about our ambitious proposal for tunnels, bridges, and terminals. Next slide. Oh, I'm doing that. Sorry. So, as Sarah did, we want to first talk about what we were able to accomplish and get started in the 2017 to 2025 capital plan. One of the most difficult things wasn't in fact building a project, it was starting the project. And that has to do with our bus terminal, which you're going to hear about. But we also, in this time frame, we rebuilt and raised the Bayonne Bridge. We completely built a brand-new Goethals Bridge. We got started on a $2 billion major rebuild of the George Washington Bridge, which is 60% complete at this point in time. And we implemented cashless tolling, which greatly reduced traffic and cut emissions and reduced accidents by over 57%. In addition, the Holland Tunnel, with damage from Hurricane Sandy, was repaired, and we put in resiliency measures to protect the tunnel in future storm conditions. As I mentioned earlier, the Midtown Bus Terminal has been stuck. It's been long overdue to get going, and that was the first step that we took to set this up. I'm going to ask Rick to make some comments about that difficult effort.
So thank you, Jim, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, for the opportunity just to reflect back on the last 10 years with respect to the evolution and development of our Midtown Bus Terminal Replacement Project. The bus terminal is actually the single largest commitment of Port Authority capital in the entire 2026 capital plan. As we look at the capital plan we are now proposing, it really is important to remember that in 2016, 10 years ago, this project was really nowhere. Only controversy and disagreement. No approved design, no agreed upon budget, no agreed upon way forward between the two states. Today we have come a long way, and it is a tribute to virtually every part of the organization. Over the last 10 years, we have developed a totally revised design. We have agreement between the two states. We have the support of the 5 elected officials whose districts encompass the bus terminal, and we have the support of the community boards. Almost unheard of from the point of view of a major infrastructure project in the middle of a built-up area. We also have now made our way through the full federal environmental approval process. We have achieved unanimous city land use approvals, and importantly, we have now started building with a groundbreaking this past summer. The capital plan that we present to the board today provides for a 10-year funding plan. We ask the board to post it, and ultimately we will ask the board to approve it, to support this critically important project, which is now rising, if you'll forgive me, somewhat like a phoenix, to become a 21st century world-class transportation hub that will support commuting workers at a best-in-class bus terminal and become a cornerstone of community revitalization rather than a blight upon Midtown Manhattan. Extraordinary progress over the past 10 years, and in this sense, the past is truly prologue, because with this funding support that is in the proposed capital plan, the agency will now enable this extraordinary project to move forward and be built. And with that, Jim, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you, Rick. And now I'll talk about what the proposal is for the 26 to 35 capital plan. So finishing what we started, I want to start off with the Midtown Bus Terminal. The full approval would be $11 billion to replace the existing Midtown Bus Terminal. This is a once-in-a-century program and will be completed in 2 phases. First, we'll build new ramps and the staging and storage facility, and then we will build a new terminal. This terminal will benefit the commuters by allowing buses direct and fast access from the Lincoln Tunnel into the new terminal. It will take buses off the street. It'll benefit the surrounding community with new street-facing concessions and a new 3.5-acre green space at the end of the program, and overall revitalization of the surrounding neighborhood. This building will truly be best in class and very representative of this golden era that we're embarking on under this proposal. With respect to how to fund such a aggressive and brilliant building, the vast majority, as mentioned before, of the funding comes from Port Authority net revenues, bonds, and loan proceeds. In addition to support for the construction and the operation and maintenance of this new facility, the 2026 to 2035 capital plan proposes updated carrier fees charged to bus companies operating at the facility. These revisions to bus toll schedules include the creation of 3 new bus classes: minibuses, 2 axles, and 3 axles. These proposed new bus toll rates will be instituted in gradual increases beginning in mid-2026 and through 2034. In addition to the bus terminal, the proposed 2026 to 2035 capital plan would also drive major state of good repair projects at our crossings, further advancement of Restore the George program and other elements to build on the work that we started, and also major rehabilitation work for the Lincoln Tunnel Helix and Outer Bridge Crossing, and planning for the replacement of those assets in the plan beyond in 2036 to 2045. Funding for our crossing, the proposal in the 2026 to 2035 capital plans involves the same bond and loan resources, but also provides for new phase-out of the current Easy Pass discount program for autos and motorcycles offered during the off-peak hours. The phase-out would take place over 4 years, starting in 27, with a 50-cent reduction, followed by 50% reductions in the discount over the following 3 years. The discount program, is important to note, does not change the Staten Island discount program. The truck discount at off-peak hours will remain unchanged, and the calculation of the Easy Pass peak rate for autos will remain unchanged. So with this proposal, it will have an equal impact as we've achieved at the airports and the other facilities that you're about to hear about. And with that, I end my portion of the presentation and turn it over to, is it Beth? Oh, Clarell, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Executive Director Rick Cotton, good afternoon. So I'm here to discuss with you today PATH's recommendations for the 2026 through 2035 capital plan. But before diving into our proposal, I'd like to just review with you a few accomplishments that we've had in the previous capital plan, to put the proposal in context and to highlight how we have set PATH up for success in the years to come. Oh. Okay. So over the past decade, the Port Authority invested $3 billion into PATH's 117-year-old infrastructure to improve system safety, reliability, and ultimately improve the customer experience. $1 billion of that alone upgraded PATH's signal system to the state-of-the-art automatic train controls, which enabled PATH to increase its capacity and to carry more riders safely. We also had the Path Forward program, $430 million program, which will conclude in 2026, where PATH is replacing tracks, switches, and making repairs to stations that were damaged by Superstorm Sandy. We also undertook the expansion of Harrison Station, replacing the once smaller historic head houses with wider, more modern head houses that now provide ADA accommodations. In the middle of COVID, at the lowest point of our ridership, PATH pursued the procurement of 72 new additional train cars to expand its fleet by 20% and enabled, for the first time in PATH's history, 9-car train service on the Newark World Trade Center line. During this plan, we also repaired numerous assets damaged in Superstorm Sandy, such as stations and electrical substations. These improvements to our infrastructure positioned PATH to be more resilient to face future storms. We also implemented a number of customer service amenities to improve the customer experience and communications, such as the tap to pay system. We updated countdown clocks and the Ride to PATH app. Got to advance. As a result of these investments and accomplishments, PATH was awarded the 2022 Outstanding Public Transportation Agency Award by the American Public Transportation Association, or otherwise known as APTA, which is the leading trade group in North America for transit agencies. So, to kick off our 2026-2035 plan, we have a major service announcement. So as a result of the previous investments and previous accomplishments in PATH, we are proposing one of the largest service improvements in PATH's history. The proposed 2026-2035 capital plan will drive more frequent rush hour service, more frequent late night weekend service, and for the first time in 25 years, direct weekend service on all 4 lines. In addition to the new service increases, PATH is proposing major infrastructure improvements for the uptown tunnels, as well as new switches, new tracks, to promote faster, safer, and more reliable service. Further, PATH is also proposing a major investment to reinvent our fare system, gates, to combat fare evasion. So in order to fund these improvements, the 2026-2035 capital plan proposes raising fares. PATH is unique among major transit agencies in that we do not receive local, state, or federal funding to support our operations. And as a result, PATH fares only cover about 25% of the actual costs of each ride, with the Port Authority subsidizing the remainder of the ride. PATH proposes an increase of 25 cents beginning in the spring of 2026, with a 25 cents increase each January from 2027 to 2029. Finally, we also want to take steps to combat fare evasion. So PATH is proposing investments in our infrastructure and technology to ensure that we further address fare evasion. The 2026-2035 capital plan proposes the installation of a new state-of-the-art fare gates to reduce fare evasion. The proposed capital plan will also fund technology to measure fare evasion to help PATH deploy targeted strategies based on identified patterns and enforce payment. So as you can see, the proposed capital plan will deliver major service increases and key investments in PATH's infrastructure to ensure more resilient and reliable service and ultimately improve our customers' experience. Thank you, and I'd like to turn it over to Beth Ann at this time.
Thank you, Clarell, and good afternoon, Commissioners, Executive Director Cotton. I'm going to follow the same format as my colleagues did, taking a little walk back through history and then a look forward. So as we think about the last capital plan, we finished what I would describe as the most significant transformation in the port's history since containerization first started in Port Newark in 1956. We handled volume that was not expected to be seen until 2030, and we did so without congestion. We became the second busiest port in the United States, and we retained our position as the East Coast's busiest seaport. As Derek said earlier, we restructured terminal leases to drive private investment, and we now have 3 of the 5 leases completed, with 2 more on the horizon. And we've also gained ownership of the Howland Hook Marine Terminal in Staten Island, and with that expansion, the terminal operator would have the ability to almost double the capacity of the terminal, which is now New York State's only large international container terminal. Continuing, we've heard about the raising of the Bayonne Bridge. While it's listed as a Tunnels, Bridges, and Terminals project, it was really done for the port in order to allow larger ships to pass underneath. And we did that combined with completion of the dredging of the channel to 50 feet in partnership with the Army Corps of Engineers. Combined, both of those projects represented over $3 billion in investment. We also completed the 4th of our on-dock rail facilities. We were the first port in the nation to develop an on-dock rail facility. We now have 4 with the completion of the terminal in Bayonne, giving us a capacity to handle 1.5 million containers per year that are reaching destinations in New England, Eastern Canada, and the Midwest. And during this previous capital plan, we also planned, engineered, and started construction with the help of federal funding, a wholesale rebuild of the Port Street corridor. And it's important to note, I think, that the Port Street corridor is just one of 2 entrances to the Port Newark Elizabeth Port Authority Marine Terminal, which sees over 500 vehicles, 50,000 vehicles per day in the port. So our proposed capital plan represents what is the next major transformation in the port. With your approval of the plan, we will be able to support continued private investments in what is the must-call port on the U.S. East Coast. We serve 46 million consumers locally and many more via our rail network. We will also be able to restore and replace our over 60-year-old wharf and berth structures, and we'll do so with state-of-the-art concrete-filled steel pipe piles, which cannot be affected by the marine borer, which has really destroyed our old timber piles. And we'll make further investment in strengthening our rail operations, which will improve fluidity and efficiency while also expanding capacity. And then finally, with your approval of the capital plan, we will complete construction of the Port Street corridor, which will finalize all of the investments that we have made in roadways over the last 2 decades in the Port Newark Elizabeth Port Authority Marine Terminal, which will reduce traffic and improve safety, as those roadways were first built and constructed in the 1940s. And will also advance deepening of the harbor to 55 feet. And while I know I just mentioned that we just completed the deepening to the 50 feet, before we were even done with that project, we were receiving ships larger than what was originally ever anticipated. So with the deepening to the 55 feet, there will also be safety and efficiency improvements that would be generated in order to handle even larger vessels today. And that project also would be done in coordination with the Army Corps of Engineers. Again, with your approval of the proposed capital plan, we expect these investments in the port to create even more job opportunities, strengthen trade, and support the national economic security, keeping the port competitive and the region's economy moving. And I would note just finally that since the beginning of the previous capital plan to just last year, total port-related jobs have increased by 45%, while personal and business income in the region has grown by 36%. So I would expect that through this next capital plan and these investments, we would be able to see equal opportunities for both jobs and personal and business income. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Jolene to talk about the World Trade Center.
Thank you, Beth. Good afternoon. So as with my fellow line directors, before I move into the proposed capital plan at the World Trade Center, I'd like to take a quick look back at the past 10 years, which saw tremendous progress towards completing the World Trade Center campus master plan. 3 World Trade Center, currently the second largest office tower on campus, was completed and is now almost 90% occupied. Between 3 World Trade Center and 1 World Trade Center, now at nearly 95% occupancy, exciting media and technology companies have been added to the diverse office tenant mix on campus. Additionally, 2 important cultural components of the campus were completed. First, the St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church, which reestablishes a beautifully reimagined piece of the original World Trade Center that was lost on 9/11. And last but certainly not least, PANYNJ, a performing arts center that brings much needed vibrancy, activity, culture, and community connection to the campus. Whether you're seeing a show in the state-of-the-art theater, enjoying a meal at the world-class restaurant, catching a free performance at the lobby stage, or engaging in a pop-out activation on a nearby plaza or sidewalk. As we look forward to the next 10 years, the proposed strategy at the World Trade Center for consideration by the board is to complete the vision by supporting the addition of the final remaining pieces of development and solidifying the status of this place as a hub of activity and a vital connection point for the region. The proposed capital plan at the World Trade Center has 2 primary objectives. First, to support the completion of the final 2 components of the World Trade Center master plan, namely the development of Towers 2 and 5. And second, to make strategic reinvestment in our existing assets and infrastructure to maintain the competitiveness of this iconic destination. For example, we're asking the board to consider investments at 1 World Trade Center, which recently passed its 10th anniversary, to maintain its status as a Class A trophy building and to continue to attract high-end office tenants and visitors from around the world. We're committed to continuing our investment to keep the World Trade Center campus a world-class asset. At the Oculus and some of the other major infrastructure that supports the campus, components of which date back to pre-9/11 and the development of the original World Trade Center in the 1960s. Strategic investment will enhance efficiency, resiliency, sustainability, functionality, and overall attractiveness, with the goals of continuing to draw people in, keep them engaged, and keep them coming back again and again. And with that, I'm delighted to hand the baton back to Derek to wrap up the summary of this exciting capital plan proposal.
Great, thank you, Jolene, and thanks everyone who had a chance to present and walk you through their department. I'm going to summarize with just a couple of slides here. One, to put in context and remind everybody what we're talking about in the next capital plan. So $45 billion capital plan, if you exclude the support for Gateway, it's $42 billion of direct spending on our projects. Even that number understates the impact that we're having, because it doesn't include the public-private partnership, the private investment element of this, which collectively, if you look at the projects here, are tens of billions of dollars on top of that over the next 10 years. So within our $42 billion, about half of that is dedicated toward aviation. You heard about completing JFK Airport. You heard about at JFK, a dramatic overhaul of the air train stations, a replacement of the cars, an expansion of the car fleet. At Newark, you heard about building a new Terminal B and completing the Newark Air Train, which was just started. You heard about LaGuardia, about replacing the 85-year-old Terminal A to complete having all three terminals be brand new. And you heard about streamlining the fast, frequent Q70 bus line. In their tunnels and bridges, you've heard about completing the $11 billion Midtown Bus Terminal in this capital plan, completing and advancing the restoration of the George Washington Bridge with another $2 billion, or a $2 billion program, completing that, and fully rehabilitating the Outer Bridge and the Lincoln Tunnel Helix. At the seaports, you heard about driving private investment, over $1.2 billion of private investment at our container terminals. You heard about restoring the 60-year-old wharfs and berths, which will be replaced. You heard about completing the Port Street Corridor project and advancing and deepening of the 55-foot maintenance program. At PATH, you heard about major service increases at all 4 lines. So that will be something that customers will begin to see very soon. Running more trains when riders need it, at rush hour, on weekends and weekend evenings. And installing new state-of-the-art fare gates and launch a war on fare evasion. At the World Trade Center, you heard about completing the last pieces of the campus, including the construction of a new Tower 2 and a new Tower 5, and continuing to invest in One World Trade Center. So I just want to remind you, this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to continue to deliver world-class facilities and finish projects which have been started. As we said, the way the Port Authority operates is every dollar of our profits gets reinvested in improvements in our facilities, every single dollar. And that's the point of our capital plan. So we recommend the proposed 2026 to 2035 capital plan and ask the board to post it for public comment. So I want to talk about what happens over the next month. So we have scheduled 4 public hearings, meetings that will be a combination of hybrid meetings, online and in person, as well as in-person meetings, scheduled in some cases in the morning, in some cases in the evenings, to allow for as many people as possible to join, and spread across our region in 6 separate locations. So that will take place beginning in December, just after Thanksgiving holiday. After that, we will continue to accept written comments through December 15th. Our next board meeting, December 18th, will give us a chance to collect all of those comments, and we will still invite public comment at the board meeting in December 18th. And at that meeting, we will ask you to move forward this proposal. So I want to end there and thank everyone for the time and consideration.
Thank you, Derek. Vice Chair?
Derek, an astounding presentation by you and your fellow line directors. The takeaway headline for me is $112 billion over the last 10 years and the next 10 years. And if you multiply that times 3 for the amount of jobs and growth in the economic community, that's $450 billion. I think that that's amazing. I think that's something that the 8,000 members of our team can be proud of. And I'd like to use this opportunity to read one quote that I have lived by for the last 30 years. by Daniel Burnham, famous architect and land planner. Make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood, and probably themselves will not be realized. Make big plans, and you certainly have. Aim high in hope and work, remembering that a noble, logical diagram once recorded will never die, but long after we are gone will be a living thing, asserting itself with ever-growing insistency. Remember that our sons and grandsons, and I add, our daughters and granddaughters, are going to be doing things that would stagger us. Let your watchword be order and your beacon beauty. Think big. And you are, and you have, and you will continue. So thank you on behalf of our board.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you to all the presenters, first of all. A significant amount of work has gone on, and, you know, Libby, our CFO, said to us the moment they stopped formulating the 2017 capital, they started looking towards this capital 2025. And the moment this is adopted in December, I suspect there'll be work by the staff to be looking at the next capital. Extraordinary amount of work. Last 2 years have really pulled together. It's been a daily effort. I'll save my comments for the December meeting after and we're looking forward to hearing back from the public, hearing back some ideas, what you like, what you don't like, and we'll come back here in December and we will vote on the capital. Any other comments or questions? All righty, folks, moving on. Derek, thank you very much. Great job. Now we have a presentation from our Chief Financial Officer, Libby McCarthy, who will discuss the proposed Port Authority 2026 budget and its sources and uses of funds. Libby, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners, and good afternoon. Today I am going to kind of shrink our look and focus on 2026 and our proposed budget, both on the operating side and the capital side. So first I'm going to just start with what are we anticipating that we will be doing at our facilities throughout 2026. And so I'm going to just walk through what the agenda is for the year. At the airports, we're projecting that we will serve over 149 million passengers at the three large airports. That's a new record for our aviation system. We are going to continue to transform into the 21st century airports that deliver a world-class travel experience. The big news there being, as Sarah mentioned, at JFK, we'll have the opening of two new world-class terminals, Terminal 1 and Terminal 6, and a new simplified roadway network. We'll also be opening the NEC station access at Newark Airport. Moving on to our tunnels, bridges, and terminals. We're estimating that 123 million vehicles will use our bridge and tunnel crossings. We are also looking at a major ramp-up in construction on Phase 1 of the Midtown Bus Terminal Replacement Project, and then continuation of our significant state-of-good repair investments at the George Washington Bridge, the Lincoln Tunnel Helix, and the Outer Bridge. For PATH, we're estimating a 9% increase in our passengers in 2026 versus 2025, as employers are continuing to adapt their in-office policies. We're expecting 64 million riders, a new high since 2019, and across the year an average of 78% when compared to 2019 levels. As Clarell just mentioned to you, we'll be rolling out those significant service expansions, both on the weekdays and weekends to address customer needs and rider requests, including that direct service on weekends from Jersey City to Midtown Manhattan and Hoboken to World Trade Center, which has not been provided since 2001. We'll have the completion of the Path Forward modernization program and the full rollout of the tap-to-pay fare payment system. At the ports, we're expecting throughput of 8.5 million TEUs, continuing our leadership position in the U.S. ports, improvement in truck traffic flows and reduction in congestions with completion of the investment in the Port Street Corridor program. And then at World Trade, we're expecting 60 million visitors on the campus and working to maximize the vibrancy of the campus by supporting our partners in hosting community events and artistic performances. So with that as our backdrop, we also looked at what were we going to need from a security and safety perspective for this budget. We will be providing, this proposed budget provides $1.1 billion for our safety and security programs. That's an additional $54 million or 5.2% when compared to 2025. The proposed budget will provide the police department and the civilian security resources necessary to respond to the evolving threat environment and provide world-class safety and security. This supports our over 2,000-person police force. Also, a critically and ever-evolving threat for us is the cybersecurity environment. And we are investing in our strengthening and enhancing our cybersecurity defense programs, including funding of our 24/7 Cybersecurity Operations Center, third-party risk assessments, expanding and enhancing our programs, and focusing on resilience and disaster recovery solutions for our systems. And then also looking at this across all of our facilities, we looked at our sustainability and resiliency budgets to support and deliver on both our agency's net zero roadmap and make sure that the necessary resiliency investments are made in this environment of increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events. So the proposed budget will include funding to advance the net zero emissions future, funding to advance our reduction of direct greenhouse gas emissions by 50% by 2030, continued replacement of our fleet so that we have a 100% light-duty electrification by 2026, expand the agency's solar power investments across our facilities, and then, as I said, put dollars toward the resilience of our assets so that we can meet those changing weather impacts going forward as a result of climate change. So what does that translate to? It translates to a $10.1 billion 2026 proposed budget. I'll focus you first on the right-hand side of this page. This sums up where we would be spending that $10.1 billion. We're proposing $4.2 billion for our operating expenses, $4.1 billion for the first year of that spending under the proposed 10-year capital plan, $1.7 billion for debt service, which relates to debt issued in the past to support all that exciting stuff that everybody ran through for you that we've completed, as well as some new money issuances, and then some investment in assets like the vehicles and systems. The left-hand side of this chart shows you how we would be paying for that. So $7.5 billion, or 75% of this, would come from our operating revenues, and $1.8 billion in debt service, and another $800 million in grants and passenger facility charges. As Derek mentioned, those operating revenues, as a self-funded agency, first pay our operating expenses, then pay our debt service, and then they go into that capital spending program together with the debt. So that is how we meld all of this together to make for an affordable plan. So just a reminder again, we are self-funded. We do rely on third-party fees, lease payments, and other payments, and we focus very hard in making sure that we're maximizing our non-toll, non-fare revenues. With this budget, has achieved that with 66% of the agency's revenues coming from non-toll, non-fare sources. So let me now move on to a little more color on the larger components of this spending plan. So first, from the how are we funding this, the operating revenue side, this proposed budget has $7.5 billion of revenues. That's a $428 million, or 6% increase over the 25 budget. The largest piece of that coming from our aviation system with a $258 million, or 7% increase. That's coming from our activity-based rentals, higher recoveries of our costs, our operating and capital costs from the airlines doing business at our airports, and proposed adjustments to our ground transportation airport access fees that Sarah McKeon noted to you as part of the proposed capital plan. TB&T is looking at a proposed increase of $123 million in revenues, or 5.8% versus the 25 budget. That's driven by a number of different factors. One is the functioning of our annual automatic inflation-based toll adjustment mechanism previously approved by the board, as well as full-year impacts and carrying out further the modifications the board approved in 2024 to our toll structures. We also are seeing the net vehicle growth year over year, particularly with a higher mix of trucks versus the prior year. And then for PATH, we're seeing a $19 million or 11% increase in revenues versus the 25 budget. That is mostly driven by that higher ridership that we're projecting. And then as well, the impact of the phasing in of the fare adjustments in next year. So moving on to our operating expenses. As I mentioned, we're proposing an operating expense budget of $4.2 billion. That budget is first built in layers. The first thing we look at is inflationary escalations. We look at both the employment cost index, which includes the cost of labor, benefits, et cetera, healthcare, all in one, and then as well just general consumer price indexed impacts on our costs. So when we put that together, that constitutes a 3.4% increase over our 25 spending levels, and that's $136 million. Then we look outside of that for things that are new or weren't embedded in that original budget or are funded in another source. So the PATH service enhancements that Clarel rolled out for you are adding a $19 million. And then these other items are either funded by third parties or are just a result of the higher revenue system, the rents there that we pay to the cities of New York and Newark. So that adds another $36 million to our budget for a total budget of $4.2 billion, or a 4.2% increase. Moving on to our capital spending budget. So looking for the 1 year of the first year of the new 10-year proposed capital plan, we are looking at a $4.1 billion spending plan budget for 2026. You can see the breakdown here by department with $2.3 billion for aviation and $1.2 billion for TB&T. And you can also see some of the major projects that are advancing under the program in 2026. And then finally, I'll just close with our debt service component of our budget. This just shows you the makeup of that budget, $1.7 billion roughly to operations, 1.8 or 9 billion in total. Some of that funding our capital program, and that is the budget that we're looking at there. And so then I will also move to next steps. Similar to the process that Derek walked through for the capital program, we will be posting this budget for public comment. The public is encouraged to provide their comments. They have multiple means, either through our website, they can participate in the hearings, and we will be taking those comments through December 15th, or participation here at the board on December 18th. We'll be accumulating all of that feedback, and we'll be providing the board a summary of that and any recommended changes as we look forward, and then seek adoption from the board at the December 18th board meeting. And with that, Chairman, I am happy to take any questions.
Commissioners, any comments, questions? Libby, extraordinary job. We will obviously talk about this in December when we adopt the budget. Looking forward to the comments and questions from the public. And those comments and questions are taken very seriously, and we will address any concerns or ideas that you have and incorporate them in final adoption. All righty, moving ahead, we're going to hear from our Executive Director, Rick Cotton, on his monthly report. Rick?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to just have one comment, which is to point out to the board that an enormous amount of effort and work has been poured into both the development of the proposed capital plan and the development of the proposed 2026 budget. I commend them both to the board. Look forward to the board's consideration of them on a final vote basis in December.
Thank you, Rick. All right, moving ahead, we're going to now provide an opportunity for the members of the public to comment on any Port Authority matters. The public comment period, which may be limited to 30 minutes in total, provides an opportunity for members of the public to present their views directly to the board. It does not provide for a dialogue. Members of the public wishing to discuss specific matters, please contact our Port Authority staff and the Public Affairs Department, and we'll line up the appropriate staff member. We ask the speakers to limit themselves to 3 minutes. Our first speaker is Chanel Thomas Henry. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners and Executive Director Cotton. Good afternoon. My name is Chanel Thomas Henry. I am the council member-elect for the 21st Council District.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Which includes LaGuardia Airport and the neighboring communities surrounding it. And most recently, prior to that, my election, I was the former outreach manager for the redevelopment of LaGuardia Airport. The redevelopment of LaGuardia Airport went from worst to best airport, was not only transformative for the Port Authority and its partners, but helped bridge the over 80-year gap between the airport and the community. In my role as the outreach manager, we were able to do amazing things. From building a scholarship program for young students throughout the community to attend college for free and go on to careers. That model was also extended to JFK and Newark Airport. These were students who only dreamed about getting on an aircraft, but now had the opportunity to excel in education and their careers. We built a workforce development program in collaboration with many of our community-based organizations to help train and hire thousands of individuals throughout the community for jobs at the airport. And prior to JFK's redevelopment, we had awarded a record-breaking $2.2 billion, over $2.2 billion in contracts to minority and women businesses. So as we're looking forward to the next 10 years, I hope that the board consider continued investments to our community. But most specifically, as for LaGuardia building a world-class gateway, I ask that you look at those gateway entry points into LaGuardia. During the redevelopment program and prior to COVID, we had looked at reimagining through a series of landscaping opportunities to reinvest in those entry points into the airport. From the Grand Central Parkway to major thoroughfares like Astoria Boulevard and Ditmars Boulevard. These entry points not only service passengers, taxis, for-hire vehicles, those going to rental car facilities, but the community just steps away from LaGuardia Airport. Also, in looking forward to new modes of transportation, right to the east, there's major development happening with a world-class soccer stadium and the possibility of a gaming facility and hotel, which I can imagine will increase the need for access in and out of the airport. So along with those gateway entryways that I mentioned, I ask that you look along the promenade to the airport, which passengers and staff today continue to use. As a member of the community and future representative of the community, I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Harry Malakoff? Harry?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And thank you for taking the time to hear my concern. My 9-year-old granddaughter lives in New Jersey but attends elementary school in Manhattan at the school where her mother teaches. Every school day, She travels to and from school via the PATH train. For almost all students in New York and New Jersey, free or subsidized transportation to a school is a basic support provided by their local governments. But because my granddaughter crosses a state line, she falls into a gap where no one takes responsibility. Providing free or discounted PATH pass for young children commuting to school would be a small cost with a large impact. It would promote equal access to education, relieve financial pressure on working families, and ensure that children, especially young ones, can travel to and from school safely with predictable and reliable transportation. A 9-year-old child going to school should not be penalized because of a boundary between two states, New York and New Jersey, which already cooperate on many aspects of transportation, obviously through the Port Authority. Extending that cooperation to include school-aged children would be a simple, humane, and equitable step. So I'm asking that you provide either free or heavily discounted transportation to young children going to school on the PATH train. I want to thank you for considering this request to make our regional public transit system fairer for all students, including those who cross the river each day just to learn. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Murphy? Greg Murphy?
How will I ever hear what, if anything?
You'll hear back from us. Somebody will reach out to you. Greg Murphy? Nobody. Murray Bode? No, I didn't see Murray. Anybody see Murray? No. Aaron Glazer? Aaron Glazer? Jack? I see Jack.
Here I am.
Hey, Jack.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
Board, Executive Director Cotton, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you for these updates. Granted, I knew I was going to have to rewrite what I wrote the night prior, but I'm going to have to do a lot of review over the next month, as are you and as are a lot of people in our area, to look at what you've put forward. But I do want to thank you and all the people that went into putting these, the budget, the capital plan together. It's a tremendous amount of work. I heard from some PA members, they made sure that I heard the major updates for PATH, and the choice to put dates on those things, I really appreciate, because rather than this vague, obscure idea of an improvement at some point in the future, I and all of Hudson County Complete Streets can speak to the rider community and say, these are the bits of information we've gotten, and this is what we should expect. So I and the whole campaign are going to review the documents you've released. I'm sure we'll find something to complain about, don't worry. But I will come here and say one thing I had planned to say, which was, the campaign asks for a better path, improved off-peak headways. Sounds like we're getting to that, and the extension to EWR. I know that this has been pushed back. There was COVID, there were all sorts of things. But as you mentioned before, that as soon as the last capital plan was finished, you're already planning the next one. I'm hoping that's what we can do for EWR, because unlike a project, which has challenges, a goal has steps along the way. So I know that there might be things in between us and a one-seat ride for New Jersey and Lower Manhattan to EWR. Sounds pretty nice, right? There might be steps along the way, but they're not challenges, they're opportunities. And when we have goals like this that are worth pursuing, as I believe the EWR extension is, we prioritize it and figure out how we get there. So not looking for instantaneous movement on that. I'd like it, but I understand the confines of reality. But it's my job to come up here and say, hey, let's keep that as a goal, because a goal is something you strive for and not a chore that you have to do. But just a general, you all are doing quite a bit, and I congratulate you on all the things released. Again, the station expansion at EWR, the bus terminal, good things happening. So thank you very much.
Jack, thank you for that. And Jack, we've listened to you and people like you with those path improvements. I'm sure you saw those things on the screen there were direct result of you and people like you coming up and having really productive conversations. So more in December. Thank you, Jack. Beatrice Bofill.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm also with Hudson County Complete Streets. I haven't also fully digested all the new information, but it's pretty exciting to hear that we have expanded service. So thank you very much for listening. As you're saying, you are listening to us. I want to reiterate about the one-seat ride to EWR, and just take a step back and take a global look at this idea of sustainability that was mentioned earlier, and being able to travel in a way that reduces our footprint. So there are many riders that don't take a car to get to the station. Maybe they ride a bike. And we have things like Uni, the Uni pods. I don't know if you're familiar with those. They're really fantastic. You have them at a lot of the stations. I would encourage an expansion of these facilities that allow you to park for free in a safe place. And also to encourage protected bike lanes arriving to the stations. That last mile to get to the station is so important. And to have a sustainable and alternative way to get there that isn't necessarily a car is a great thing to provide. So thanks so much for all the work you're doing and for the opportunity to speak.
Beatrice, thank you, and I'll share what I said to Jack. Thank you for all the positive comments, constructive comments, and we look forward to voting on something very constructive and positive come December. See you then. Our last speaker is Ashley Claudio. Ashley? All right, we have a couple of, are those all the speakers that are here live, Jim? I'm sorry. You registered? Oh, come on up. Just need your name?
My name is Michael Ring, R-I-N-G.
I'm sorry, I didn't have your name. That's okay. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Michael Ring. I'm from Disabled of New York, Disabled in Action of Greater New York. There's a thing in the disability community that we describe our appearance. Not going to assume that everyone can see what I look like. I'm a 62-year-old white guy. I wear eyeglasses, and I'm just wearing a hoodie. I wanted to talk about the fact that there are 6 PATH stations. There are 6 stations in Manhattan. We are here in Manhattan right now. They all should be accessible. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you for your comments, and we will take we'll take that up. Thank you. Any other? I'm sorry. Yep, great. Hello.
Testing.
Great.
Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Valdez, and I am the systems advocate at the Brooklyn Center for Independence of the Disabled. And I'm here today also to speak about the Port Authority capital plan and to urge the port to make all New York City PATH stations fully accessible, including 9th Street, 23rd, Christopher, and 14th Street, which remain inaccessible. Accessibility in public transportation is not just about convenience, it's about equity, independence, and opportunity. For too long, people with disabilities like me, parents with strollers, older adults, and others with mobility challenges have struggled to navigate our city simply because so many stations lack elevators and accessible features. Every person deserves the freedom to travel safely, independently, and with dignity. A few years ago, my organizations and others, they won a court settlement that required the MTA to make hundreds of its subway stations accessible. In the last capital plan, the MTA spent $5.2 billion and was on the way to making 67 of those stations accessible. One of those stations is the 14th Street station at 6th Avenue, where elevators recently opened, but the PATH station there is not accessible, and it should be. And shockingly, your current capital plan does not seem to include any plans to install elevators in any of the 4 inaccessible New York City PATH stations, and that's including 14th Street. If the MTA can do 67 stations, you can do 4. If you want to go to New Jersey, do you really expect me to go out of my way to 33rd Street or the World Trade Center stations, the only 2 accessible New York City PATH stations? The 14th Street station and the other PATH stations are essential for thousands of New Yorkers every day, yet without accessibility, you shut out a significant portion of our community. We urge you to start on the road to access by including the 14th Street station access into your capital plan, since the MTA elevators, they are just open. This would send a clear message that the Port Authority is committed to progress and equity.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Jim, that's it in terms of the live speakers?
That's correct.
Right. Okay, we have 3 written statements from Alterice Frazier, Erica Beverett, and Christian Beverett, which will be committed to the record, and we have their published written comments in front of us. We have 2 videos. The first is from Anna Humphrey. If we can play Anna's video, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Anna Humphrey, and I am the Transportation Community Organizer with the Center for Independence of the Disabled, New York, Sydney. Sydney worked with 65,000 of the 2 million plus New Yorkers with documented disabilities this past year, many of whom rely on accessible public transit for work, medical care, and everyday life. Right now, only 2 of the 6 New York City PATH stations, 33rd Street and World Trade Center, are accessible. That means that people who use wheelchairs or other mobility devices are locked out of 2/3 of the system in New York City. For a public agency that prides itself on regional connectivity, that is unacceptable. The MTA is currently installing elevators at the 14th Street subway station. The Port Authority should take this opportunity to coordinate and install an elevator at the 14th Street PATH station as well, ensuring that riders can make full accessible transfers between the subway and the PATH. Accessibility can't stop at the border between agencies. But we also urge the Port Authority to go further and commit to a comprehensive plan to make all New York City PATH stations accessible, including 9th Street, 23rd Street, and Christopher Street. Accessibility is not optional, it's a legal obligation. As you finalize your new 10-year capital plan, please ensure that accessibility is built in from the start, not treated as an afterthought. New Jersey riders already enjoy full elevator access at every PATH station, and it's time for New York City riders with disabilities to have the same freedom and dignity of movement. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matty Bucky's Highland, and I'm an advocate for people with developmental disabilities. It's been a few months since I last spoke to the Port Authority, and I hope everybody is doing very well. As we close out 2025 and enter 2026, my hope would be for the Port Authority to adopt a balanced budget, and if there's any toll or fare increases, to do it at a small and predictable rate and at a single-digit increase. I wish I could be with you all on this November or in December 18th at Jersey City, but I have the Trans-Siberian Orchestra concert to go to. So I hope to see you all again in 2026. So with that being said, everybody, happy holidays and may God bless you all. And I'm going to do this like they did in the Arsenio Hall show with Bird and Richardson. I'm going to introduce, turn back over to Chairman Kevin J. O'Toole.
We love Maddie. All right, that concludes all the public comments, Jim?
That's correct.
All righty, so now we're going to proceed with the voting items for today's board list. As a member of the committee, as the chair of the Committee on Operations, I'll now present 2 items. First item finalizes the direction for public review and comment on the proposed new 10-year capital plan and proposed funding to support the delivery of the plan. Prior to making the motion, do we have any recusals?
There are none.
Questions or comments from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage? Yes. Commissioner Dominguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fine?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
I think we're good, Jim. That's everybody? Yes. Great. All the votes are in order. The item has been approved. Last item authorizes a new 11-year lease with Harbor Freight Transport Corp. for its continued occupancy of approximately 12.7 acres of Port Newark. Prior to making a motion, I ask any recusals.
There are none.
Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage? Yes. Commissioner Dominguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fine?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Votes are in order. The item's been approved. We now are going to hear from our Vice Chair, Jeff Linford, as Chair of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management, who will now provide his report in 2 items.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Chair of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management, I will now report on 2 items under the committee's purview. The first item authorizes projects to rehabilitate JFK taxiways A and B North and taxiway C in order to maintain the taxiways in a state of good repair. The total combined cost to construct the two projects is $123.8 million. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioners' recusals on this matter.
There are no recusals.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, I now request a motion on
So
this
moved.
item. And thank you for the second.
Second.
Very good. I now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage? Yes. Commissioner Dominguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fine?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
As the votes are in order, the item is approved. The second and last item authorizes planning and design for a future project to rehabilitate taxiway A West at JFK at an estimated planning cost of $1.5 million. Prior to making a motion on this item, I am asking the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals on this matter.
There are no recusals.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, I now request a motion on this item.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage? Yes. Commissioner Dominguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fine?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
As the votes are in order, the item is approved, and I turn it back to our chairman, Kevin O'Toole.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you very much. There being no further business, move to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Happy holidays.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see everybody at the public hearings on the 18th of December. Thank you.